Greetings, madams and sirs. Thank you for being here to hear my oral thoughts. My name is Clifton A. Castile, and I say that name with mega pride. Between you, me, and the bedpost, I did not want to be named Clifton A. Castile. I wanted nothing to do with him. I wanted to be anybody but Clifton A. Castile. And as we proceed with this presentation, you will see why. Now, I'm going to discuss the last 15 years of my life, the most challenging years of my life, gut-wrenching. My mental therapist and my spiritual counselor asked me to make a video or write a book about my life. And I said, I can't do that. It's too emotional and no one would believe it. I said, well, try it, then make a video about it. Tell people the astronomical challenges that you went through, picking yourself off the ground and how you survived. And perhaps it will be inspirational and informative to those who may be going through what you went through. Tell them how you overcame these challenges and issues and pains, emotional pain, physical pain. Tell them about this. Well, I said I'll try. I did have to climb a lot of mountains. Now, again, my presentation will only cover my journey from 2005 through 2020. So let's give this presentation a title. How about this? He was a man without faith, not even the faith of a mustard seed. Now, as I tell you my story, you're going to wonder as I proceed, is he a liar or is he a miracle man? And maybe at the conclusion of my story, it'll come out positive to you. Now, you'll say to yourself, no human being could have withstood all of the emotional pain, the physical pain that he went through being in an unfamiliar city and being alone. That's impossible. Hollywood wouldn't take this story. Well, it is factual, everything I'm going to tell you. Now, before you say this is going to be so boring, maybe I need to shut this down right now. Well, listen to me. I'm going to give you some things that I'm going to talk about in my presentation. One of the things that I'll talk about first, the destruction of my home, my property, about being alone and covered with fear, enduring hatred, becoming anorexia, enduring numerous unneeded hospital stays, witnessing so many deaths, the death of my mother, my sister, my friends, my fiance, and so many others, having undetermined medical issues that almost just destroyed me, being involved in automobile accidents, experiencing social indifferences, housing discrimination, and daily thoughts of killing myself. And sleep deprivation, and that would destroy me. And I still suffer from sleep deprivation. It was my Achilles heel. And please keep that in mind, could not sleep. Okay, let's get started here. How did I become a resident of Monroe, Louisiana? Well, I left New Orleans hours before Hurricane Katrina in 2005, trying to escape on my journey to my home of Idabel, Oklahoma. And Monroe was in my path. And I said, well, I'll stop in Monroe. They have more medical facilities there, and I'll be able to satisfy what is ailing me. Well, let me say this. I had some medical issues in New Orleans. In 2004, I had to resign from teaching because of these medical issues. And I love teaching. And I said, well, I'll be able to satisfy. I'm going back to teaching, something I loved. And I said to myself, everything's going to be okay. Had no idea that Hurricane Katrina was coming. Now, let me say this about me. Prior to 2005, I was on top of the mountain. Everything I touched turned to gold. I was never in the valley. I mean, I was having so much fun doing dating. I was popular. Everyone wanted to talk to me. Newspaper, television, newspaper. And the reason I was doing so much volunteer work, and they wanted to know, what new program are you going to start to help the needy? I mean, I was just having a ball. I published numerous articles for peer review that were correlated with teaching in the classroom and what teachers could do. Just everything was going my way. I published a couple of novels. And you know, I used to say to myself, I would say out loud, I'd say, God, you're too doggone nice to me. Give me some challenges like my colleagues. I want to see if I could handle those. I know I could. Now keep in mind, I had no faith at all. No spirituality. Never did. That statement is going to come back to haunt me for a lifetime. That statement, God, give me some challenges. I know I can handle it. Keep this in mind as we move along. I knew no one here in Monroe, Louisiana, and that's where I am now giving this presentation. I had no cell phone, and none of my friends in New Orleans, my colleagues, had cell phones either. We were old school. So when the hurricane came and we all scattered across the country, we couldn't contact each other. So my world now is going to become trapped. And when I came to Monroe, I stopped at a shelter that says for Hurricane Katrina evacuees. So I stayed there. And there I watched my house being destroyed on TV. Hurricane Katrina, the floodwaters. And I said, there goes all of my numerous awards that I received for doing humanitarian work. Later, I procured an apartment. About 2 or 3 weeks after being in that apartment, my car was defaced twice. And someone finally put a little sign on there and said, I don't like your color. Why don't you leave this situation? Well, something happened to me. I don't know what happened. I have never been right emotionally. My brain was rewired chemically. I've been to neurologists. I've been to psychiatrists. They don't know what happened. I am not the same emotionally. I get upset over anything. I don't have confidence anymore. That act did something to me. About 2 weeks after that, I couldn't sleep. I went 9 days without sleeping at all, not even 10 minutes. I couldn't. I tried to sleep. And this went on for years, not just once. I would sleep maybe 2 hours. Then I'd go 5 days without sleeping. Then I'd sleep 4 hours. Then I'd go 3 days, and it just kept going for years and years. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I'd stay up all night crying and praying. So I saw a physician for this, and he had never heard of this. He kept saying, you're going to have a major stroke or heart attack. It's impossible for a human to do this. You are a miracle walking. Do you have a lot of faith? No. Well, this medication, sleep medication, was not effective at all. I would take 1 pill, nothing. The next night, 2. Maybe sleep 30 minutes. Then I started taking 3 sleeping pills at one time. And I remember driving 180 miles to see a physician, and I had not been to sleep that night, and I'd taken 2 sleeping pills. Well, the doctor said, are you making this up as you go along? Who are you? Where did you come from? Well, he said to me, you're legally drunk. When you don't sleep, the brain must go to sleep. Well, 2 months later, I wondered why I hadn't heard from my fiance. Thereafter, her son called me and said, Mr. Castile, the reason you haven't heard, Mother is dead. Her body had lodged under the house. Hurricane Katrina had drowned her. She drowned in Hurricane Katrina, and it took us this long to find her remains. Well, I couldn't go back. And the reason I couldn't go back, remember, I'm not sleeping. I'm legally drunk. I don't know what I'm doing. And that was a dagger to me. It would set things in motion. About a year later, I was sent to numerous medical facilities in 5 different cities to find out, why were you unable to sleep? And I would fill out all these laborious forms. Now, keep in mind, I'm by myself. I don't know anyone. And I'm traveling without any sleep whatsoever. And these medical facilities say, we can't find anything wrong with you. We've given you MRIs and CTs of the brain. We don't know why. You need to see a psychiatrist. And I said, no, I think I'm okay. Well, let me just tell you this. Over a 10-year period, I had 32 MRIs and CT. I think my blood was pulled X amount of time. I had 3 spinal taps. I had so many epidural injections for muscle pain, and it just went on and on. And neurologists would tell me, you'll be better off if you had cancer of the brain, because we could give you pain medication, but for sleep deprivation, there's nothing can do. It drives you insane. You're legally drunk. And every time doctors would tell me you're a miracle man. Every time I go to the doctor, I say, I hope I got diabetes. I hope I got something. At least I know what's wrong with me. Well, I couldn't. At that point, I started blaming God. I said, God is against me. God hates me. He's punishing me for something. I put that in my brain. I kept it there, and it never left me. I would beg God to let me sleep. I say, I'll do anything. And I came up with this. I said, God is punishing me for my transgressions. And I sit there every night and try to figure out what it was. I would write it down on a legal pad, what I thought I had done. And then I would present it to God as if God was there. And I'd say, God, tell me why. You know, I talk to myself in third person. What is this that bad? Tell me, why can't I sleep? Whatever you want me to do, I'll change it. I am sorry. Well, I had no short-term memory whatsoever. Consider this. I was having migraine headaches like never before. My muscles were just killing me constantly. I didn't get a break from this. I wasn't eating. I would go to a service station to purchase some gas. I would go in there, put my wallet on the counter, and leave it there, and come out and don't even pump the gas. And this happened numerous times because, again, I'm legally drunk. Don't know what I'm doing. I was involved in 2 vehicular accidents. Thank God no one was hurt, and it was my fault. All because of sleep deprivation. And night after night, I pleaded with God to send me. I said, oh, God, send me a friend. I said, God, please send me a Simon of Cyrene to help me with my heavy burdens. I cannot withstand this much longer. If you love me, God, send me a friend to pick me up off of this cold ground. I'm not even face up. I'm lying down in the mud. Please help me. I'm in this unfamiliar city. I don't know one person. I have no friend. Oh, when I was in New Orleans, everything came so easily for me. You know this. Help me now. I cried so much until my reservoir of tears became empty. No more tears. And when I could cry, they weren't even salty. I began to now scream at God nightly, I dare you to kill me. This is when I started thinking about killing myself. And I did it every night for at least 8 years, terminating my life. And the reason I didn't do it is because I thought I'd make a mess of it and I'd just suffer more. And God would say, you're going to suffer some more. It's something you did. Well, I cried and I cried. I tried to find the door to escape hell. I said, because I'm in hell. I said, there's got to be a door. This is hell. Hell is not in another place. Hell is here on earth. I figured it out. And I'm in hell. And I would say, God, I dare you to send me to that other hell if there is one, because there I get a break every once in a while. You're not giving me a break, God. That is wrong of you. You are an unjust God, at least to me. And I said, oh, I know why you're punishing me. I remember telling you when I was doing volunteer work with hospice, I told you, I said, you don't know what you're doing. Why would you punish this young man who's 12 years old with this brain cancer? You need to punish me or some of my friends. I didn't mean it, God. I did not mean to say that. Now, some 8 months later, I still can't sleep. So my physician said, I'm going to send you to a neurologist. Well, he wired me with all sorts of apparatus. And After 5 months, he said, you're only sleeping 2 hours and 45 minutes per night. And you're taking sleeping medication. You're going to have a stroke. You're going to have a heart attack. You are a miracle person. I can't believe this. If I didn't participate in this and I read it somewhere, I would not believe it. And you know, when I did sleep, oh, I'd have the most beautiful dreams. I would dream that I'm back in New Orleans and I'm with my friends. I'm dating. I'm in my house. I'm doing volunteer work that I love. Well, guess what? I would slowly wake up, start screaming. I prayed that it was real. It wasn't. Oh, it was so gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching to me. And sometimes I would sleep, I would dream about the act that I was teaching, but I could never find the classroom. I was assigned my classroom, and my girlfriend was always with me, and we couldn't find the classroom. And I would start crying. I said, God, you are really teasing me. You know I love teaching. Please stop it, God. And I would wake up so slowly. I said, pull the cover off. It might be real. Then I would set up my camcorder to kill myself. But I couldn't go through with it. I didn't know. I said, I got to give tomorrow another chance. I said, but it's going to be the same. Well, I met someone up here. I said, I'll be your friend. Well, they would say, God is great, isn't he? And I would say, no, he isn't. God is not just. Faith is not real. Well, you know what happens. That they dismiss me. So now I'm back to having anyone. I'm staying in my house. I'm afraid to go anywhere. A few people start calling me, you know. Now I have a cell phone, a landline. They go on the computer, they find me. And one of my friends say, you never did have an ounce of faith. And you need to get faith. And he would pray with me. I'd listen, rather. Every night, he was living in New Orleans, and he sent me spiritual paraphernalia. I didn't read it. I threw it in the trash. And about 5 months later, his wife called and said he had a major stroke. He's dead. Well, I couldn't even go to his funeral. I wanted to eulogize him because, again, I'm not sleeping. I can't drive to New Orleans. At that point, I said, I believe God is punishing me, really punishing me by keeping my friends away. I'm going to take note of that. Well, a little bit later, another friend called me and said, we used to teach school together, remember? Why don't you come on back and stay with me a while here in New Orleans? I said, I don't know about that. God is punishing me. Well, that didn't go well with her. About 5 months later, one of her sons called and said her kidney just went out, one of her kidneys. I said, that's it. He is punishing me. But I would have these lengthy conversations with God every night, sometimes twice a day. Even in my car, sitting in front of a store or something. Even in a supermarket, I talked to God. People thought I was out of my mind. I would beg God to kill me. I said, I dare you to kill me. If I curse you, will you kill me? Well, this went on and on. Well, I passed out in the supermarket and I woke up in the hospital and I was dehydrated. My kidneys had almost shut down. The doctor said another few hours and you wouldn't be here. And they said, well, why is this happening? I said, I'm not eating, I guess. You're not consuming any fluids or eating? No, I'd go 5 days without eating or even taking any fluids. I tried to eat. I couldn't. I became anorexia. So they said, you're going to have to start eating. And I was there for 14 days. Now consider yourself going to the hospital alone in an unfamiliar city, and you got to fill out the forms yourself. You got to check yourself out. You have no one to come and check on you. You don't matter anymore. You're crying in the hospital. You're making things worse. Stress now is getting to you. Of those 14 days I was there, they would say, we just can't believe you. They gave me a battery of tests. Nothing's wrong with you except you're dehydrated. Now the pain in my brain is intolerable. I don't know what to do. Pain medication is not helping whatsoever. My muscles are just killing me. I can barely stand up. I anchored myself in my apartment. Only left when I had to leave. Now, every day, as I indicated, I wanted to kill myself. I write things down. I say, I need to make a video, and so people won't think it's a homicide. And sometimes I would write something down and put it on the outside of my door and say, if you don't see me in 2 or 3 days, I'm dead, etc. like this. Well, another friend called me and said, I'm going to come there and see you. I'm teaching in Washington, D.C. I said, you better not. People are dying. And she said, well, you always were nutty when I dated you. You never had any faith, any spirituality. I said, you'll die. She said, I'll be there in about 5 months when school terminates. One of her daughters called me and said, Mr. Castillo, mother has pancreatic cancer. I said, but that's impossible. She's not overweight. She exercised. She's a registered nurse. How can this? I said, that's it. God is out to get me. He's teaching me a lesson and saying, I just do not like you. Every night I prayed for God to kill me. I was also dealing with racism, indifference from African-American people. I'd go to African-American church. I would tell my problems and stuff and say, God is not just. You all pray for me. Well, in so many words, they said, don't come back here. Now, I did start sleeping 2 or 3 hours after taking a sleeping pill, but I'd wake up screaming. It was like I thought God was in the bed with me and he was trying to smother me. I said, I need to see a psychiatrist. I went to see a psychiatrist. It did no good. The medication they did not help at all. Then I met someone else up here and they said, I'll take you to have all of these medical procedures. And I had colonoscopies, I think about 4 times. I had these endoscopies where they go down your stomach because my stomach was killing me down there and nobody knew why. I think I had 5 of them over a 12-year period. And I said, something's going to happen to her. Well, guess what? She was involved in an accident and became paralyzed. I said, that's it. That's it. I better never ask anyone to help me. I don't want them to suffer because of me. And the pains were just great. Emotional pain. I just didn't know what to do. I said, that's it. I'm going to find a way to kill myself. Yes, sirree. And I said, God, I'm going to kill myself, but please don't make me suffer. Let me do it cleanly. 5 years after being up here in Monroe, I receive a call and it says, your mother has passed away. Well, I couldn't go to the funeral because I'm in the hospital again, the second time because I fainted in my apartment. I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating. And I said, I can't go to my own mother's funeral in New Orleans. All right, 8 months later, I get a call. Your sister has passed away. I couldn't go. I'm lethargic. I'm drunk. I'm not sleeping. There's no way I could go. Oh, this was a dagger. Because when I did eat, I'd eat about as much as a bird. 2 days later, I may eat something else. I'd go a whole day without eating anything or consuming any fluid. I tried to eat, but I couldn't. I took a dementia test. It was inconclusive because I wasn't sleeping. And they said, we believe the stress is the culprit here. Well, another friend called me every night. And I said, you better not. I don't want to talk to you. About 3.5 months later, he was dead. He was involved in an accident. Got shot to death in his home. I now know that God is punishing me. The deaths were piling up on me, and I could predict who was going to die. I said, am I great? I am good. I got that talent. Well, a personal friend came to see me. I dated her, and we became friends. She said, I'm coming up there and see you, nutty man. She came up here, stayed a while. I said, you know what? Something's going to happen to you. She said, you really have a problem. I tell you what, you can come to New Orleans, stay with me. And after she left, I didn't hear from her. 2 months passed. I said, God told her not to call me. That's it. But that's okay. At least she'll be alive. Right after that, I received an invitation to come back to New Orleans to a book fair, a festival, because I had written a novel. and to discuss my novels. I said, well, okay, I'll kill two birds with one stone. I went by her house and I said, I'm going to castigate her for not calling me. Well, her neighbor came out and said, don't you watch cable TV? She's dead. She was murdered by her ex-husband who was estranged, and he killed her, killed their 6-year-old son, and then killed himself. It was a custody battle over the child. I fainted right then and there. I woke up in the hospital. And the next, I said, I can't drive back to New Orleans Monroe like this. And I said, I'll go back and see one of my best friends and see if he's back in New Orleans. Well, I went by his house. His mother always stayed with him. I said, where's Louis? I really miss that crazy person. I love him. Is he dead? I haven't heard from him. She said, yes, he is dead. How did you know? We couldn't contact you. We didn't know how. He died during Hurricane Katrina, had a massive heart attack. At that point, I'm just coming unglued. I'm getting needles and pain and pins and sticking in my fingers. All of my muscles were shot under my feet. Stress. So I said, let me go see another friend that I once dated. I went by her house. Her aunt came out and said, oh, she killed herself. She had lupus. Now I said, I don't know how I'm going to drive back to Monroe. Well, I thought about killing myself. I said, if I run into that 18-wheeler, just put that pedal to the floor. And then I said, no, I'll just paralyze myself, because God will say, I want you to suffer. I'm not letting you out like this. Oh, the pains and needles was killing me. I just jumped for pain. Well, I fainted again in my house. Had to go to hospital, emergency, I should say, and they released me. We can't find anything wrong with you. Well, later on, one night I woke up and my face was drooped, and I went to the doctor. He said, I think you might have had a stroke. I told you this. Well, it was Bell palsy, so I stayed in the hospital again. This is the 4th time in the hospital, and they couldn't find anything wrong with the brain. Now, I was sure I was going to terminate my life. I had figured it out. I was so great at predicting everything, and that God wanted me to suffer, but I was going to beat God at his game. I knew that I was in a black hole and gravity would not let me out. Night after night, I would pray, God, send me a Simon of Cyrene to pull me out of this black hole, but it did nothing. I went to a psychological hospital and tried to commit myself. They wouldn't take me. Then I went and planned my funeral at a funeral home, put down some money. I said, I'm going to kill myself, and I need to make sure something is done. Well, a strange thing happened. I was in a restaurant trying to eat, and this white minister came up to me and he said, God told me that you need some spiritual help, that you're really depressed. I couldn't believe it. Come over and eat with my wife and me. I couldn't eat, but I came over there. I'm going to invite you to come to my church. And I have this large congregation. Well, I went reluctantly. They raised $3,200 for me right then and there. But I wouldn't take it because I knew God would punish me more and say, why are you taking that money? And I said, please give it to the needy. I cannot take this money. Well, I was like a rock star when I told my story. They couldn't believe me. They wanted to touch me. They prayed with me. How could a man still be alive? You are a miracle. How much faith do you have? I said, are you kidding me? I have no faith whatsoever. Well, as it went on, they would give me Bibles and spiritual things that say for a non-believer. I didn't know they had that. I received a call that one of your surrogate daughters had cancer. I said, oh my God, I can't take it. Now I'm still not sleeping. I'm still alone. I have no one. I met 1 or 2 people, but they weren't close friends. They didn't want to hear me lament about God. It's not great. Well, I would write myself letters and mail them to me to see if I was alive. I would put down there the good things I did, nothing bad. And I would mail it, and I'd put God underneath me and care of God, but put my address. And when it would come to me, I'd open it up, sit down and read it to God and say, Cliff Castile is a wonderful person. Stop punishing him. And God would say, do you really believe that? Who are you trying to fool? I'm driving down in my car and having all kind of thoughts of killing myself. And I heard this song, and it became my swan song. It would change me for a lifetime. And it was by Jennifer Lopez, and it was called Alive. And it was, let me give you a couple of stanzas here. Happy just to be me and to be alive. And though life can be strange, I can't be afraid. Oh, you see where that went with me. The strength to stand alone, the power of not knowing and letting go. Time goes slowly in my life. Fear no more of what I'm not sure. Oh, you can see why that was correlated with me. The strength to stand alone. But listen to this stanza. Feeling lucky just to be here tonight. That was everything. Now, you know, when I take self-inventory, I don't believe I weathered so much needless pain, self-deprivation, self-loathing that would destroy my life. Oh, yes, I got problems now, but I didn't have it at first. Stress. We have all heard fear. It's not real, but do we really believe that? Folks, if I'd have had the faith of a mustard seed, I would not have destroyed my life. Just the faith of a little mustard seed. I did not have it. Now, I'm going to say this to you. Some of you all out there feel that you have the burden of Sisyphus. And you say, I got to get that big boulder up the hill, and maybe I'll have some freedom. Well, guess what? Let me tell you this. I would surmise that Sisyphus said to his friends, I got that boulder 1 meter up the hill today. Tomorrow I'll get it 2 meters. The next day I'll get it 3. I'm happy because I'm going to get out of all of these burdens. I'm going to take my time. You got to say that. Take a little bit at a time. The sun will come out. Oh, you're going to have cloudy days. That's no thing, and your rainbows will be few sometime. But trust that something in yourself. Have friends. Have faith. You need those components to be yourself. And you know, it wouldn't hurt to say a few prayers now and then. Now, when I look back, those 20 years, 15 years from 2005 to 2020, I said to myself, how could you have put yourself through this? I did. You did not give faith a fighting chance, F-A-T-E. And I'll say, why didn't you, Clifton Castile? Why didn't you fill your soul with hope and faith? Well, I didn't. And let me say this. I am proud to be Clifton A. Castile. I'm proud to be here. Oh, yes, I'm going to always have these health issues. I'm going to have emotional pain, but I'm going to give faith a fighting chance. I'm going to believe in people, believe in myself. I was put here for a special reason, just like you, and I'm going to do everything I can with what I have been given. And I hope you'll do the same. Give life a chance. Believe in yourself.